Have you ever stopped and wondered, who is actually looking through your eyes right now? The one seeing, thinking, and feeling? Is that really you? What if the person you call me isn't the real self at all? Stay with this thought, because what you're about to realize could completely change how you see yourself forever. 1. Difference between the self and the observer. Have you ever noticed that even when your mind is full of thoughts about the past, the future, or your worries, there's still a part of you quietly noticing them? That silent awareness, the one watching your thoughts come and go, is what we call the observer. It's not your mind, your emotions, or your body. It's the pure consciousness that simply witnesses everything happening within and around you. Most people live their entire lives identifying with the self, the name, the face in the mirror, the story they tell about who they are. This self is shaped by experiences, memories, and labels like I'm successful, I'm broken, or I'm not enough. But these are just layers, like clothes worn by your true essence. The observer beneath all that is untouched by any of it. It's the same you that was present when you were a child, silent, aware, and unchanging, even though everything about your life has changed. Let's take an example. Imagine you're feeling angry. The emotion rises, your body reacts, and your mind begins to justify why you're upset. But if you pause for a second and observe the anger instead of becoming it, you'll realize there's a deeper presence watching it all unfold. That watcher isn't angry. It's just aware that anger is happening. When you start recognizing this distinction, life begins to shift. You stop getting lost in every emotion or thought. You understand that thoughts are just passing clouds in the sky of your awareness, and you are the sky, vast and unaffected. This realization doesn't mean you stop feeling or thinking. It simply means you no longer drown in them. You learn to respond rather than react. You become more peaceful, focused, and grounded because you know who you truly are. The consciousness behind the experience, not the experience itself. So when you catch yourself overthinking or feeling overwhelmed, take a deep breath and remind yourself, I am not my thoughts. I am the one who sees them. That's the beginning of inner freedom. The point where you stop living as a story and start living as the awareness that observes it all. 2. Why thoughts don't define you. Your thoughts are powerful, but they are not who you are. They're temporary, ever-changing, and often shaped by your environment, emotions, and past experiences. Just like clouds move across the sky, thoughts drift through your mind, appearing, shifting, and disappearing. Yet the sky itself never changes. In the same way, you are the sky, and your thoughts are simply passing weather. Most people believe everything their mind tells them. When a thought says, I'm not good enough, they believe it. When it says, I'll never succeed, they surrender to it. But here's the truth. Thoughts are not facts. They're mental habits, reflections of fears, or echoes of what others once told you. If you really pay attention, you'll notice how random and inconsistent they can be. One moment your mind praises you, the next it criticizes you. How could something that changes every few seconds possibly define who you are? Try this simple awareness exercise. Close your eyes for a moment and watch your thoughts without judging them. You'll notice that you can see your thoughts, almost as if they're on a movie screen inside your head. That means there's a you who is separate from them, the observer, the witness. That observer is the real you, calm, still, and always present, even when your thoughts are chaotic. When you stop identifying with every thought that arises, you create space, a peaceful distance between you and the noise of your mind. That space is where inner clarity begins. It's the difference between being in the storm and watching the storm from shelter. You realize you can choose which thoughts to engage with and which to let go. For example, when a negative thought says, I can't do this, instead of reacting or feeling defeated, you can observe it like, there's a thought that says I can't. That small shift in awareness weakens its power instantly. You're no longer a prisoner of your own mind. You're its master. Freedom begins when you understand that your thoughts are just visitors, not your identity. They knock on the door, but you don't have to let every one of them in. You are the awareness that watches them come and go, always free, always untouched. 3. Awareness as your true identity. Deep inside you, beyond your thoughts, emotions, and roles, there exists a silent, unchanging presence, awareness itself. This awareness is not something you have to create or search for. It's what you've always been. From the moment you opened your eyes as a child until this very second, you've always been aware. Aware of sensations, feelings, and experiences coming and going. Everything changes, yet this awareness remains the same. That is your true identity. Think of it like this. When you watch a movie, you become absorbed in the story, laughing, crying, or feeling fear. But deep down, you know you're just watching the screen. Awareness is that screen of consciousness. The characters, emotions, and events in your life are the movie. The problem arises when we forget the screen and think we are the movie. Most of us say, I am happy or I am sad. But these are states, not who you truly are. Awareness observes happiness and sadness. It experiences both but remains untouched by either. Just like the ocean remains deep and still beneath its surface waves, your awareness stays calm and unshaken beneath the movements of your mind. You can begin to reconnect with this truth by simply noticing, right now, that you're aware. There's a knowing presence, seeing these words, hearing sounds around you, and sensing your body. That presence is you, not the name, not the story, but the consciousness that witnesses it all. When you live from this awareness, life becomes lighter. You stop trying to control everything because you realize that awareness doesn't need to control. It simply observes with clarity and wisdom. Decisions become easier, emotions lose their intensity, and peace becomes natural. Awareness also connects you to something higher. In spiritual understanding, this is where the divine presence is felt, not as something separate, but as the essence flowing through your very being. When you rest in awareness, you touch that stillness where truth, guidance, and serenity exist. So the next time you feel lost or uncertain, pause and ask yourself, who is aware of this moment? The answer isn't in words, it's in the silence that follows. That silence is your true self, infinite, peaceful, and eternally aware. 4. How the ego masks the observer. The ego is the false identity we build through our thoughts, memories, and external validation. It's the voice that constantly says me, mine, and I am this. The ego believes it's the center of everything. Your achievements, your pain, your relationships, even your opinions. But in truth, it's only a shadow, a mask that hides the deeper awareness within you, the observer. When you were a child, before you learned your name, religion, or status, you existed as pure consciousness. You didn't think of yourself as better or worse than anyone. You simply were. Over time, as you absorbed the world's labels, good or bad, smart or not, rich or poor, the ego began to form. It took ownership of your experiences and said, this is who I am. Yet this identity is fragile because it depends on the external things. When someone praises you, your ego feels powerful. When someone criticizes you, it feels wounded. But the true observer within remains unaffected, calm, steady, and whole. The ego thrives on comparison and separation. It constantly seeks to prove, defend, or validate itself. That's why so many people feel exhausted. They're trying to maintain an illusion. The ego whispers, I need more to be enough, keeping you chasing something outside yourself. Meanwhile, the observer simply watches, knowing that peace was never lost. It was only hidden beneath noise. To see beyond the ego, awareness is key. Begin by observing your inner reactions. When someone offends you, pause and notice who is hurt. The observer will see that it's not your true self that's wounded. It's the ego's image of itself. By noticing it, the illusion weakens. You start responding from awareness, not from defensiveness or pride. This doesn't mean you must destroy the ego. It serves a purpose in daily life. It helps you function in the world. The goal is not elimination, but balance, knowing when the ego speaks and when the observer is watching. As you grow more conscious of this distinction, life becomes more peaceful. You stop fighting reality because you realize the one who fights is not the real you. Beneath the ego's noise, the true self, the silent observer, patiently waits to be remembered. 5. The illusion of I and ownership. From the moment we begin to think, we start building a sense of I. I am this, I own that, I did this, I deserve that. It becomes the center of how we see the world. But this I, the sense of personal ownership, is an illusion created by the mind. It gives us the feeling that we are the doer of everything. Yet when you look deeper, you'll see that life has always been happening through you, not by you. Think about your breath. Do you control every inhale and exhale? Your heartbeat, your thoughts, the way emotions rise and fade? None of it is truly yours. These things happen naturally without your command. The mind takes credit for them, but the truth is, existence flows on its own. The I only appears to own what it never truly created. This illusion of ownership leads to suffering. When life goes our way, we say, I did it. When it doesn't, we say, why me? In both cases, the mind remains trapped in the illusion that it is the doer. But when you observe closely, you begin to see that you're more like a passenger, witnessing the journey, not steering every turn. The observer simply experiences what unfolds without claiming it. For example, imagine watching a beautiful sunset. The mind says, I'm enjoying this. But in truth, the awareness is just present, silently witnessing the beauty. It doesn't own the moment, it is the moment. The same happens with every experience, joy, pain, success, or loss. The illusion comes when we attach ownership, my happiness, my sadness, instead of seeing them as passing experiences within consciousness. Letting go of this illusion doesn't make you passive, it makes you free. You still act, love, work, and grow, but you do so with lightness. You realize that life flows through you like a river, and you're just a part of its graceful movement. When the I softens, peace deepens. You no longer carry the heavy weight of ownership. You begin to live in surrender, not as weakness, but as wisdom. Because when there's no I clinging to control, only awareness remains, open, peaceful, and in harmony with the flow of life itself. 6. Quieting the mind to access awareness. The mind is a beautiful tool. It helps you create, plan, and understand the world. But when it never stops talking, it becomes a prison. Most people live caught in constant mental noise, endless thoughts about the past, worries about the future, and judgments about themselves and others. This non-stop chatter covers up the quiet awareness that exists underneath. To truly experience your deeper self, the observer, you must learn the art of quieting the mind. Quieting doesn't mean forcing your mind to be empty. It means not believing every thought that appears. When you stop feeding thoughts with attention, they lose energy and naturally fade away. Imagine your mind as a pond. When the surface is disturbed with ripples, you can't see your reflection clearly. But when it becomes still, the water mirrors everything perfectly. In the same way, when your mind becomes still, awareness shines through effortlessly. One simple way to begin is through conscious breathing. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and take slow, deep breaths. Instead of trying to stop thinking, just notice the breath moving in and out. Thoughts will still come, but don't chase them. Let them pass like clouds while your attention stays anchored in the present. Over time, this practice teaches your mind to rest in stillness. Another way is through observation. When a thought arises, simply notice it. There's a thought about work, or here's a thought of fear. By labeling it gently, you create a small distance between yourself and the thought. That distance is awareness, the observer watching the movement of the mind. When your mind quiets, even for a few moments, something profound happens. Peace emerges. You realize that this calmness isn't something you created. It was always there, hidden beneath the noise. This stillness is where intuition, clarity, and divine guidance are found. In everyday life, you can practice this awareness during simple moments. Walking, eating, or even washing dishes. Focus on what you're doing without letting the mind wander. Gradually, silence becomes more natural, not as emptiness, but as presence. A quiet mind doesn't mean no thoughts. It means thoughts no longer control you. In that silence, you rediscover your true self, the ever-present awareness that watches, loves, and simply is. 7. Observing emotions without attachment. Emotions are powerful. They color our experiences, shape our choices, and connect us to others. But problems arise when we become our emotions instead of observing them. Most of us say, I am angry, I am sad, or I am anxious. Yet these statements aren't entirely true. You are not the emotion itself. You are the awareness feeling the emotion. When you realize this, your relationship with emotions completely transforms. Every emotion is energy moving through the body, temporary and ever-changing. Anger flares up, sadness softens, joy rises and fades. The observer inside you remains still, watching these emotional waves come and go. Just like clouds passing through the sky, emotions pass through your awareness. The key is to let them move without resisting or clinging to them. Let's take an example. Imagine you feel deep sadness after a loss. Instead of drowning in it or pretending it's not there, you can silently acknowledge, sadness is here. This simple act separates you from the emotion. You're no longer lost in sadness. You're aware of sadness. That awareness itself is healing. It allows the emotion to express itself fully without controlling you. When you observe emotions this way, you stop labeling them as good or bad. You begin to see them as messengers, each carrying wisdom. Anger may reveal where your boundaries were crossed. Fear might point towards something that needs trust. Gratitude reminds you of presence. Every feeling, even the uncomfortable ones, can guide you toward greater self-understanding. But only when you observe without judgment. This approach doesn't mean suppressing emotions. Suppression is avoidance. Observation is awareness. The more you resist an emotion, the stronger it becomes. But when you sit with it, breathe, feel it, and let it flow, it eventually dissolves on its own. Awareness melts the intensity of emotions like sunlight melting ice. Over time, you'll notice that emotions no longer dominate your peace. They visit, they teach, and they leave, while you, the observer, remain steady and free. That's emotional mastery, not control, but understanding. So next time an emotion rises, don't say, I am this. Say, I'm the one who sees this. Because you are always the awareness behind every feeling, never the storm itself. 8. How observation brings inner peace. Peace isn't something you chase, it's something you return to. It's your natural state already within you, hidden beneath layers of noise, judgment, and constant mental activity. The simple act of observation, witnessing your thoughts, emotions, and experiences without reaction, is the doorway back to that peace. When you observe instead of react, you create space between what happens and how you respond. In that space, calmness appears. For example, imagine someone says something hurtful. Usually the mind jumps in instantly. How dare they? But if you pause for just a moment and observe the surge of emotion, the tightening in your chest, the quickening of thoughts, something shifts. You realize that you don't have to act from that storm. You can simply watch it. And in that watching, peace arises. Observation is powerful because it stops identification. When you no longer identify as your anger, fear, or anxiety, you stop feeding them energy. They dissolve naturally. This is why spiritual teachers across traditions emphasize awareness, not as a concept, but as a practice. Awareness turns the noise of the mind into silence, not through effort, but through understanding. Try this in daily life. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, take one conscious breath and simply notice what's happening. Don't analyze, don't judge, just observe the sensations, the thoughts, the energy in your body. You'll notice that peace isn't something you need to find. It's already there, underneath everything else. Observation doesn't bring peace from outside. It reveals the peace that was always inside. With time, this inner stillness becomes your anchor. Even in chaos, you remain centered. Problems still exist, but they no longer shake your core. You move through life with gentleness, responding with clarity instead of reacting out of fear. This is true strength, not resistance, but presence. The more you live as the observer, the more peaceful your inner world becomes. You stop chasing happiness and start being it. You realize that peace doesn't come when life is perfect. It comes when you stop fighting what is. Observation is the bridge from confusion to clarity, from struggle to serenity, from chaos to calm. Peace isn't somewhere you go. It's who you've been all along, silently watching, patiently waiting to be remembered. 9. Real-life ways to live as the observer. Understanding the observer is one thing. Living as the observer is another. The real transformation begins when awareness becomes a daily habit, not just a concept. Living as the observer means bringing presence into every moment of life, into conversations, work, relationships, and even moments of stillness. It's about staying awake within the experience instead of getting lost in it. One powerful way to live as the observer is through mindful pauses. Throughout your day, take small moments to stop and notice what's happening, inside and around you. For example, while walking, feel your feet touch the ground. When eating, notice the taste, smell, and texture of your food. When listening to someone, focus entirely on their words without forming a reply in your head. These pauses anchor you in awareness, reminding you that you are not just doing, you are being. Another practice is witnessing your inner dialogue. When your mind starts spinning stories, "I'm not good enough," "this shouldn't happen," or "they don't understand me," simply notice them as thoughts, not truths. Label them gently, thinking. That one word brings you back to presence and breaks the cycle of unconscious reaction. You can also use emotional triggers as opportunities for awareness. When someone irritates or disappoints you, instead of reacting immediately, pause and watch the emotion rise. Ask yourself, who is feeling this? You'll sense a deeper awareness behind the feeling. Silent, untouched, observing everything. This small shift turns pain into power and emotion into insight. Living as the observer doesn't mean becoming detached or cold. It actually makes you more alive, compassionate, and grounded. You start responding with understanding instead of impulse. The mind still thinks, emotions still arise, but you no longer lose yourself in them. You act from awareness, not from habit. Over time, this practice transforms your entire perception. Daily challenges become lighter, relationships become deeper, and even silence feels rich and fulfilling. You begin to see life not as something happening to you, but through you. When you live as the observer, you walk through life with grace, aware, peaceful, and present. You stop chasing moments and start living them, fully awake in the eternal now. 10. Spiritual awakening through self-realization. Spiritual awakening isn't about becoming someone new. It's about realizing who you've always been. It's the gentle yet profound recognition that you are not the story, the body, or the mind. You are the awareness behind them. This realization, often called self-realization, is the heart of every spiritual journey. It's the moment you awaken from the dream of separation and remember your true essence, consciousness itself. When you truly see that you are the observer, not the thoughts or emotions passing through, something shifts deep within. The fears, doubts, and insecurities that once felt so real begin to lose their grip. You realize that nothing external can add to or take away from what you already are. The peace you were searching for outside has been inside you all along, waiting quietly beneath the noise. Spiritual awakening doesn't happen in a single moment of enlightenment. It unfolds gradually as layers of illusion fall away. Sometimes it comes after deep pain, silence, or loss, because those moments make space for truth. When the false identities crumble, what remains is pure awareness, unchanging, limitless, and connected to everything. Self-realization also changes how you see others. You begin to recognize the same consciousness within them, the same divine spark that exists in you. Compassion naturally grows because separation fades. You no longer see people as enemies, competitors, or strangers, but as reflections of the same eternal awareness. This is where love becomes unconditional, not based on who someone is, but on the recognition of what they are. Living from this awakened awareness doesn't mean escaping life. It means embracing it with full presence. You still face challenges, but they no longer define you. You act, love, and give, not to complete yourself, but because you already feel complete. Every moment becomes sacred because you're aware of the divine presence within it. Spiritual awakening isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of real living. It's where peace replaces struggle, clarity replaces confusion, and love replaces fear. When you awaken to the truth of who you are, the infinite observer, you finally realize you were never lost, only dreaming. And now you are awake. Remember, you are not your thoughts or body. You are pure awareness, calm and infinite. Affirm, I am the observer of my reality. Comment this below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Quantum Power.